everyone, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. Comprised of a community with 66 million women around the globe, SheKnows Media, a leading women's media company, is prepping for one of their biggest events of the year, the BlogHer 18 Creator Summit. This conference brings together women who are content creators, social media influencers, and entrepreneurs across the fields of food, health, fashion, parenting, and politics. Joining me today are Samantha Skey, CEO of SheKnows Media, and actress model Brooklyn Decker, who will be one of this year's keynote speakers. Ooh, almost got it without messing up. Guys, help me welcome them to the stage. I just got so excited for BlogHer. So full disclosure, I got to go to BlogHer, God, it must have been in 2014? Yep. So a couple years ago, and it's just been amazing to see how this world of content creators has changed and evolved. So for those who are unfamiliar, Samantha, can you maybe take them through what BlogHer is?
Sure. And the company has been around for 14 years. So you were absolutely there, I'm sure, in 14 and many prior. But we bought the company about 4 years ago, and it's been a passionate sort of labor of love for us. And I'd say one of the most exciting things about BlogHer is that now we've really embraced a very large community of women entrepreneurs. So starting as kind of content creation and women who are following their passions to produce blogs and then to monetize those blogs, that work now traverses myriad digital media platforms, but also includes, we realized that these women are entrepreneurs. And then we started to get women who are starting businesses like yours to come in and talk about that path, how they sort of started with a passion, maybe then became aware that there was a market opportunity. So I think we've become a little more organized in talking about the women who populate BlogHer as, you know, founders and as real business entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because when you say blog, you just think of blogging, but it really is so much more than that now, because social media, Instagram specifically, has changed the game for a lot of these women who have been able to create businesses. So why is this community so important to have?
Well, I mean, okay, I'll try to answer that quickly. I'm like so into them, including Brooklyn's very gracious agreement to join us this year and tell us about her experiences and learning from creating a company. But I think it's really important, honestly, there is one theme we have this year that comes out of our partner network, which is 20,000 content creators who have all joined a community where we are providing mentorship and monetization strategies, growth opportunities. And one of those concepts is something internally we're calling the good web. And the idea that a lot of women, to totally generalize about a gender, which is not a good idea, tend to produce a lot of positive, inspiring content around the things they love and the things they care about. And there's a lot of terrible stuff happening on the web right now when it comes to content and news and just nefarious stuff. So I think this community is propelling women forward and propelling entrepreneurialism forward and connecting through the things they love. So that mission is really alive and well for all of our participants.
Brooklyn, are all those things she just mentioned one of the reasons you wanted to participate in BlogHer this year?
I would say, by the way, that's a welcome generalization, that women are putting forth really positive content. I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think my perspective is unique in that I, a former model and now actor, sort of was on one side of, I don't necessarily know that it's influencer, but sort of influencer marketing. And now as someone who, our company is, we've been in the public for a year, so for all intents and purposes, a year old, to now be on the other side of it and have to strategize and figure out how do you do influencer marketing and what does it mean to have an impactful, meaningful company that goes beyond tech, which is the space we're in, and what is it to be a woman in tech, and what is it to change careers or shift careers. And I think now more than ever, so many people, especially women, are saying, oh, I'm really unhappy with my current professional position. I actually have the freedom to change this, and there's actually potential for me to find success in another field. And that has been my personal experience and something I'm navigating as we speak. And so I'm really excited to not only speak to that transition for myself, but also learn from this audience, this audience of women that's so robust, and this group of women who huge brands are trying to market to and trying to figure out how to work with. And it's kind of the Wild West, which is really exciting. And so yes, for all of those reasons, I'm incredibly excited to be a part of this, hopefully very collaborative experience.
And I'm really excited about your company. It's called Finery. And I was like looking at it, and it is such a simple but needed idea. So can you explain to them what
Thank
you guys
you.
do? Yeah.
Yes, so when you think about all of the systems we have to manage our stuff, we have apps to manage our finances, to manage our music, to manage our travel. I can even manage my thermostat and my kids' baby monitor from another state, but there's nothing out there to actually help us manage our stuff. And it might seem frivolous, but when you look at the spend women are actually putting on clothing, it's more than their education. And millennials in particular, I am one of them, I'm an old millennial, I will, on average, or millennials on average, will wear an item of clothing 4 to 5 times. So when you think about just the waste that goes into that, and the mind share and the money that we're spending on our clothes, why is there not something out there to help us manage our stuff? Why is there not an inventory management tool that tells us what to get, how to wear what we have, shows us what we already own? And so Finery has created a technology that we just got our first patent, so that's newly patented, that is essentially iTunes or Spotify for your clothing. So it's incredibly innovative and exciting, but as any innovation, as anyone who's in innovation knows, it's not without its challenges. So it's interesting as we sort of navigate this journey.
So what will you be speaking about at BlogHer in general?
So my business partner, Whitney Casey, our CEO, and I will be doing it together. And I think we have an interesting point of view because we're, again, a year in a company. So I think we can talk about sort of the growing pains that go along with starting a company, especially as 2 females. We just finished a round of fundraising in December. So I think we're going to talk a lot about that because a lot of these women are really curious to know how do you raise when you're starting a company. So I think those 2 things in particular we're really excited to share our experiences on because, for me at least, when we were starting, the only reason we figured out how to do a fundraise and how to build a deck is because we asked other women in the space. And so to sort of in turn give that to a room of women is really special, exciting.
Pay it forward.
I think so,
Yeah.
as best we can.
Samantha, what goes into handpicking the keynotes? Because I looked at the list this year. You have Brooklyn, you have Gabrielle Union, Christy Turlington. I mean, all these fun, Jessica Alba, all these amazing women. So what is it that you look for, or what messages are you trying to help the community sort of learn or?
Yeah, well, it is really deliberate, but it is also broad. So a lot of the names you just mentioned are women who have taken a passion, a product, or a problem that they saw, as Brooklyn refers to the lack of inventory management in the closet and the waste associated with fashion. That's like a problem, and I think I'm just going to go for it and say women often see these problems in their personal lives and say, I could probably write this large into a company. I could solve this for everybody, rather than like, there's gray space in ad technology, so I can build a better stack to optimize a unit or something. Again, that's the happy story of many of the women we work with at BlogHer. So I look for women who have taken a passion and decided they're going to turn it into a profit. I really like that when it's not just, when it goes from side hustle into mainstream and they become technologists and they say, I'm taking that seat at the table, and it's a little scary and it's a little bit unexpected. So we have Jessica Alba in that regard also, who's really done that, and a lot of our speakers have been those types of entrepreneurs. But then we have just Gabrielle Union, who blows my mind in terms of how articulate she is in discussing the challenges within various social economies or ecosystems, intersectionality, how you give voice to different people through the entertainment and the projects you choose. There are so many things there. Most of the women you just mentioned are moms also, which is not because it's like, how hard is it to be a mom, rather because we have a special magic because we're moms. So it's really, it's a total delight to do this casting or the stage time. We also have Kristen Gillibrand, Christy.
How could I forget?
Yeah, she's baller. So anyway, it's gonna be really fun. I'm excited.
You mentioned the mom component, and I'm with you. It's not like, oh, we're moms, we have to do all this, but I think it's women are getting outside of their comfort zone and their moms, and how much extra effort that takes. And that's something you can speak to, right? You have 2?
I have 2 little ones, almost 3 and 8 months. Yeah. So I'm in it. I'm in it hardcore. This is my hand in a diaper. It is so literal. The interesting thing, and it's funny, my co-founder is not a mom and I am a mom. So we come from 2 very different experiences, and we always love sharing our stories because we do have entirely different perspectives in our approach to business. One thing I will say, when hiring, I look to moms, because when you talk about time management and you talk about efficiency, you will not find a more efficient woman than a mother because it's out of necessity. She's like, I gotta get home, I gotta pick up my kid from school, I have another kid who's sick, and I have to get my work done, and I'm starting a company, and I have to be a good friend and a good spouse, and all of that. There's so many responsibilities and so many hats that women these days are wearing. And I think for me to see people like Jessica Alba, who I admire greatly, to see them doing all of it, it tells me, okay, this is doable. And so if sharing, again, our experience can do that for women, great. And also for someone like my business partner who's 42 and had a total career shift at 40, to be able to say, you know what, at 40, your career is not done. And she comes from media where she was told it was done at 40. So at 40 to say, I don't have kids, my life is not over, I can have a huge career shift, I think that's incredibly empowering as well. So I'm really excited to sort of, share both of our paths as individual as they are.
I love that more and more I see women finding their second, third, fourth, fifth acts on social media and using even my mom retired 2 years ago, and then she started selling things on like Etsy and now she's like supplementing her retirement income, and it's just like this whole thing so there's almost like there's limitless opportunities, and that's why I love things like this, because I'm sure the conversations in the room are what really get women going, that community feeling. So what kind of feedback do you get from?
We do get a lot of the kind of the transformation in career. So, and that's one of the reasons we love Finery for stage, is that it's like, that makes sense, but it's not totally expected. You know, you've already had 3 careers and running, and the mom thing, and the wife thing, and the parent, the friend thing, the daughter, we're all these things. So I think that there are a lot of people who want that hope, because, you know, we don't know if we've chosen or found the right career by age, 32 or even 55, and so there are a lot of people in the room looking for the encouragement to try that next thing. Maybe they've got a toe in, and that's the feedback we get. That's where they are most inspired, is hearing from. I mean, this point that was just made, because we're talking about co-founders also on stage, and how you have slightly different modalities and how that can be really helpful to buoying each other up. That's a big theme here, is like, how do I move forward by listening to other people's stories and recognizing other people's experiences, both the pros and cons.
And the conference covers a lot of different topics and areas. So what are some of the main panels or the big panels that you're really excited about this year?
So Biggie is Time's Up is going to be a big, awesome, really, I think, emphatically cool conversation about some practical applications, joyful warriors, meet often, Wolfpack, all the shorthand that's been so inspirational. So we have executives from Time's Up. We have Uzo, which is amazing, like needs no further.
I've been watching season 6 of Orange is the New Black. So.
She's
phenomenal.
Oof.
Yeah,
she's a talent. Right. She's a talent.
Yeah. So that'll be, and then we have several policymakers who are operating in the zone of women's equality and gender equality and wages. And so that will be exciting, and I think will be celebrated, not a big downer. And then we have the pitch, which is our competition for up and coming entrepreneurs who are looking to the Brooklyns who have raised, they want to hear about how to raise, they want to hear about how to stare down the room. If you're one of 2 women out of 20 in the room, 20 people. Yeah.
Yep. I think it's 2% receive funding, something like that. Yeah.
I'm curious. This is a good. What is your tip for walking into the room and asking for money?
So first tip: raise 8 months pregnant if you can control it. Because I was 8 months pregnant, and I'm sort of joking, but I'm not, because VCs will cancel meetings, especially if you're unproven and you're new, and we were raising at the seed stage, which is very early, and I was 8 months pregnant, so we would say, there is a baby that is going to come out of me, and you cannot cancel this meeting, and with that, they took a lot of the meetings, so that was really helpful to us. For us, one of the big things was find investors who have invested either in your space or in other female entrepreneurs, because you know that they'll do it again. And if they've invested in female entrepreneurs, chances are they've had success with them, because there was a big study that was released this year that said that female CEOs were actually having more success in the market than male CEOs, and it's not male bashing, it's just really exciting for women. And so a lot of VCs are saying, oh, wait, women have the spending power in the house. I want to find out what women want. So find investors who have invested in females, and then get an intro from a successful portfolio company of theirs. So for us, for example, Jen and Steph from Away Luggage made a lot of intros for us, and they've obviously been hugely successful. And so if a VC is getting an intro from a portfolio company that has been successful for them, they will be more likely to take the meeting. So those are two things that just were very helpful to us. And they seem like no-brainers, but when you're going in, you're thinking of so many things, you're really focused on the deck, and you don't think about those little things that can make a really big difference.
So networking at this conference is probably really important because you're meeting people who are going to probably help connect you to your next opportunity.
No, yeah, and I think networking is one of the most wonderful, fun things that come out of the BlogHer series. We're still learning how to handle it. Like, how do you get all the people in the room together with the people they should be meeting? And so, honestly, that's like a fun product challenge that I'm still contending with. Is like, how do I ensure that, because the connection points are so varied. You know, sometimes it's someone wants to meet you because they want to be on Build. Someone wants to meet, Gabrielle Union because she's just written a book about a very specific personal subject matter. They want to meet Susan Lin because she's a great, backer and funder. So there are so many different connection points. And honestly, product-wise, like I find this challenge at conferences sometimes. Like, how does your product guide the right people together? Because there's endless opportunity for connection and for really pushing businesses forward through those connections. So still working on the glitches.
Gotcha.
I feel like you're handling it very well. Very well. I mean, we're 14
My
years
dress.
in.
I got my dress from the
Finery.
app. I just was looking at Finery and couldn't decide what to wear, and so my app reminded me I have something very pretty in my closet that I'd forgotten about.
That's the thing.
need
We
it
show
so
you what
badly.
you have. Imagine shopping, and when you're going in a store, instead of buying and again, this sounds silly, but when you look at the money that goes into it, it's really compelling. So imagine being in a store and saying oh, I want to buy this black blazer, and you open up your Finery account, and you scroll through, and you say, oh, I already have 5 black blazers. I probably don't need to spend any money. And if you know what, if you really want to spend that money, buy a gray blazer. Right. You know what I mean? Let's stop redundantly shopping, ladies. Let's
You know how
be
many
smarter
times
about
I've looked
this.
in my closet and forgot that I had like a dress, the tags are still on it.
How
It just
frustrating is that?
happens, and
I
you're like,
know.
I spent money on this, and
We're all guilty of it.
I know.
Yep.
So before we go, I just want to have like an overarching question just about this moment we're in when it comes to women and social media and the buying power. It just really feels like there's so many opportunities in the space. So how exciting is it for you, one, to be a part of this media company that's really encouraging this, and then for you to be starting your own business at this time, and like, there's so much potential.
I think Brooklyn said it really well, that there is I hate to say it's a moment, I hate to say it's a trend, I hope it's much more than that, but where we're seeing, I think funders and corporations understand that the preponderance of spending in any household is going to be the head of household female. It's 80% of purchases today that are made on behalf of the household are determined by that woman, and if there's presence of kids in the household, it's even higher. So I think that knowledge allows us to show that women as consumers have massive power, and they have power to push brands forward, to push corporations forward. I hope to push elections forward. And certain practices, policies, and anyway. So that power, I think, is being respected. And when you show it in through a consumer lens, like, hey, we buy a lot of stuff, cool. That's pretty neutral. Like, we don't have to argue about any politics on that. And so, hey, we would probably make good entrepreneurs because we can feel our own needs and our own consumer behavior. And then, maybe if you're a CEO of a major corporation and you see a woman being subjugated by a political figure, maybe you don't want to be on that guy's committee anymore. So I think that the power of the consumer, actually, that seems like a stretch, but I swear it makes sense. The consumer power of women is driving a lot of really wonderful and important things that I think will change equations in women's leadership, is my hope.
I totally agree. And to everything you said, that consumer power is what's getting female-run companies funding, which is really, at the end of the day, you can have an idea and you can make a business plan and you can have all the best people around you, but if you can't get funding, it's going to die, unfortunately. And so that's such a huge issue for us now, but it's so exciting because you're right. You cannot argue with the spending power of a woman. And when that's applied to actually starting companies and to finding or figuring out a solution for the daily needs that we face, there's a huge potential for successful female entrepreneurs. And we're benefiting from the women before us, and we hope to do the same for the women that follow. And so I think there's a lot of sort of negative, there's just negative rhetoric around being a woman, a female entrepreneur, a woman in business these days. But I actually really disagree with that because I feel very hopeful. I think it's incredibly exciting right now. I think people are really looking to women to say, like, well, what is next? What's the next big thing? What's the next big show? Who's the next big politician? What are women interested in? And that's a really exciting time to start a company and to be a woman, a female entrepreneur.
Listening to you talk is making me think of the Beyonce feature in Vogue, and she was like, I want my daughters to see themselves as CEOs and bosses, and I was like, yes, Beyonce.
I posted it today because I was so excited.
I love that art. I mean, you're not alone.
Queen Bee.
She's
Queen
Bee for all of us. Yes, definitely.
Queen Bee.
I think we have a couple questions from the audience. Who do we have first?
Hi, I've been a big fan of yours, Brooklyn. I've watched Battleship, and yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
for watching that. That's all I'll say. I'm kidding. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So my question is what advice or that you have received from your role model or people who have critiqued you that you have kind of put in practice that that you feel that women should hear and at the conference, like something that you would put in your speech? I don't know.
Good question. That's a great question. So a sort of embarrassing fact about me is that I never went to college, and I became a model at 18 and then became an actor, and I couldn't be more of a cliche. And so that's definitely an insecurity I carry with me when I walk into a room. And so for me, I always say you can't ever control your experience, right? You can't control the path that your life has taken, but what you can control is how prepared you are and how well-read you are. And so for me, the way I combat sort of that insecurity when I go into a room is be the most well-read person in the room, be the most researched person in the room. And that's something that you can control. And so for business specifically, it's something that I really take seriously. And whenever I go into a meeting with an investor or a potential company to partner with, I know everything about them. I know everything about what they're doing, what their company's doing publicly. I know everything about who funds them. I know everything about their market share. And I feel like that's something that you can control no matter what your history is. And so it feels good, I think, when you are, especially a new entrepreneur or a new actor, like if you decide you want to be a creative, to know the entire body of work a director has created. I mean, that's so valuable, and it's amazing how far ahead of the rest of the pack preparation will get you.
Thank you. One more question?
Hi, I'm Olive. It's so nice to meet both of you. So my question is more for you, Brooklyn. As a young actress and model myself, do you have any advice for starting the career?
How many years in are you?
Like 6 months.
Okay. Say no. And don't explain yourself. Just say no, and that's okay. I did so many things when I was very young that I would not have done that I regret, because I really felt like, when you're a model specifically, your employment is based on just someone thinking that you're cool or you're trendy. And so you feel like your employment and your job security is so fragile. And so you tend to say yes to a lot of things that you shouldn't. If you get that weird feeling inside that says, you know what, you don't have to do this. You can walk away from a shoot. You can. You have a lot of power. And I don't think that was something that was told to me as I started out, and so I hope you take that to heart. You can say no, and if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. There will be more jobs.
I just was looking at you, I was like, Grace and Frankie is coming back for a 5th season, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
when do we get to see that?
Good question. So they keep moving up the air date. Season 1 came out in May, and season 2 came out in May, and I think now we're up in the February region, so we'll see. I'm thinking February, but I don't know. They don't tell us until 2 weeks before that the show's coming out.
I love that show. I'll be watching if it's
you.
in February.
Thank you.
And last question before we go.
My question is for both of you. I'm Callie. Thank you guys so much for being here. When you guys, because you guys are both obviously very creative people and working with a lot of ideas, when you're brainstorming, how do you determine which ideas to kind of put aside and which ideas to pursue and to partner with other people to produce?
I think, as other things, I would say I have not perfected that at all. And I have a team full of colleagues who would agree that I have not perfected that. We chase sometimes too many and leave good ideas on the board. This is the whiteboard I'm indicating. I think that there's a lot of does this feel right for the end goal, and I think starting with your end goal is really important. Sometimes it's like, this is a great idea, but what's it going to achieve? And it's a great idea because it feels right, or it's cool, or my mom would like it, but it's really not from a business perspective, it might not have merit. And so I think that's just, as a guiding light, we do often come back to what's the objective? What's the objective? And does that creative approach meet that objective? And then the other, I think, is thinking about what things are going to really have impact and where you could. There's so many things we could do in business or in any area of industry, and there's so little barrier to action right now. So is it going to have an impact in the sort of 6 months, 18 months, and on down? And do I know what that impact looks like? It's putting the rigor on the creative, which isn't always that easy because you might think right brain, left brain, but I really think that those brains are integrating in this era.
Agreed. You're like speaking my brain much more eloquently than I can. I would say for us with tech, it's how much dev time will this take? Can our dev team handle it? We have great ideas, but is it going to take 4 weeks? We probably can't implement. So that is big. And then personally, I think if your mind keeps going back to something over and over and over again, or if when you are stressed out, you go to a place that's relaxing to you, and that is something that you think you can monetize, I think that's the key to happiness. Like, where does your mind go when you're stressed out, or what's your escape? Can you turn that escape into something lucrative? If so, you found the key to happiness and success, I think.
So can I turn laying on the beach in Fiji into a career?
There has to be a way.
I turn a nap.
I'm going to keep...
Ariana Huffington turned a nap into...
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to keep working on it. You guys have inspired me. If you guys are also feeling inspired and you want to check out BlogHer, the conference is August 8th and 9th in New York City, and you can get tickets online. Give it up for Samantha Skey and Brooklyn Decker.
Thank you.